Hello YouTube friends and welcome to my studio. I'm Trish Crosby and today's project will be this beautiful Stargazer lily. So to get started with today's painting, I'm using dry paper. I want to have full control over these details, so I'm leaving the paper dry at this point. And I've started off with lemon yellow on these stamens, and I'm using burnt sienna to go around the edge of them, and I'm just blending that out with my brush. My brush is pretty dry at this point. Not a lot. I'm not using a lot of water because I don't want things to flow too much. I'm also using a little bit of that Van Dyke green and some burnt umber in these stamens to add a little bit more depth to them. It helps to start off most of your paintings with a detailed drawing. As you can see, my drawing is pretty dark today. It's going to fade into the background, so it's not a big deal. Sometimes if you use a 2A pencil, the pencil will disappear when the water hits it. But you'll notice that this drawing will fade into the background as we go. So I'm just adding in that lemon yellow and that burnt sienna, and then down around the bottom of these stamens I'm adding in that Van Dyke green because I want that to blend down into the stems when I get to them. And anytime you put down a little bit too much pigment, you can always just lift out with your brush. Just make sure you're careful with the water, because at this point if you use too much water you're going to have a blob on the paper, and when you're in the details like this, it'll be hard to kind of lift that out. So you can see I have my paper towel in my hand and I'm constantly blotting my brush if I end up with too much water on it. So now that the stamens are done, I'm going to start working on the pistil of the flower, which is the center portion of it. And I'm just using that lemon yellow for the tip, and then I'm using some yellow green, and I'm blending it down towards the bottom because I want it to become a lot lighter down at the bottom. And then adding in that lemon green, that yellow green down at the bottom. And I'm just blending this out as I go. This right here is the lemon yellow too. And I'm just using my brush and water to blend these all together. Now that I have that done, I'm just putting in the stems to the stamens using again that lemon yellow color. Why do I keep saying that? The yellow green and the lemon yellow, and then on the edge I'm using a little bit of burnt umber to kind of accentuate the edges of those stems, and then I'm blending it out so there's no harsh lines. Now I'm going to start on the leaves, and when you do studies of watercolors, it helps to really take a really good look at your reference photo and realize what the underlying colors are of what you want to paint. Because in watercolor you want to start with the lighter colors and then get darker as you go. So these leaves, if I lift out any green later on, I want the yellow to show through on the bottom. So I usually start with the lemon yellow, and then I'm adding in that yellow green to blend out these leaves and start giving them some variations in color. Using a little bit of burnt umber and that burnt sienna up on the edge to kind of give the edge a little bit darker look, but nothing too drastic. And I'm just blending this out because I don't want any hard lines. Now I'm getting deeper with the Van Dyke green and varying shades of that to darken up this stem along the edges, and then I'm blending it out as I go because I still want that lemon yellow to show through. This was actually, this color right here was the Van Dyke green mixed with that yellow green to make this shade, because the Van Dyke green was a little bit too of a dark green and it didn't have that lighter shade that I wanted. So I just mixed the two together to get this color. And I'm just working as I go along, and I'm just slowly darkening up this leaf. As you can tell, my paint's getting a little bit more and more saturated each time I go in. And now you can start to see where that lemon yellow and that yellow green started showing through. I'm going to do the same thing for this leaf down here. I'm going to leave a spot right there on the leaf because I kind of want it to look like it had some light shining on it. I have a lot of my YouTube, I don't know if you're subscribers or not, but I would hope that you would be. But if not, I do get a question a lot about do I sell my drawings? I don't sell them, and I don't quite know the answer to that question of why I don't right now. I'm still working on selling my artwork. It's not a priority for me right now. But I wanted to talk about the artwork itself and the drawings for my paintings. When I first started watercoloring, I've always been really good at drawing, but I don't know, that the part of the process was kind of, I don't know, I just didn't want to do it. So I was kind of, I guess you could call it lazy. And so I would trace a lot of my things. And believe it or not, starting out that way and tracing a lot of flowers and things like that, it actually made me better at drawing. Because once you start tracing flowers over and over and over again, it just, I don't know, it does something different to your brain. It makes you think on a different level. And, just like a person who's learning how to play guitar, the way they get really good is they practice a lot. And art is the same way. If you go back to my earlier YouTube videos, you might laugh because they're so bad. The video quality is bad. My paintings aren't that great. And, the voiceovers and things. And so this is a progression. You guys get to go along with me on this progression, and I'm willing to put myself out there. If you want to laugh at me, I'm fine with it. But when you get started in art, don't be so hard on yourself, because we all are on, we're on a learning curve. And the more you practice, and believe it or not, the more mistakes you make, the better you'll get. So when you're starting out, if you see something that you like, a reference photo, trace it. Put down a piece of paper, put the, scribble on the back, and then put it on your watercolor paper, and that's how you can get your image. You don't have to be so hard on yourself. You don't have to be a great drawer. Trust me, over time, you'll get there. So at this point, I'm just doing the underside of this flower and using those differing shades of the greens and the yellow, and trying to show, because the underside of this lily kind of has, it's kind of whiter but it was kind of hard to do that part down there, so it is what it is at this point. So now I've mixed up some of that quinacridone permanent rose, and I mixed in, I believe, what color did I mix in? I think this is just a really deep shade of that, and then just a very, with water making it, deeper and lighter. And I'm just using a clean damp brush to kind of lift out some areas. But as you can see, this is like super saturated. I really got into this pigment because I want this to be dark. I don't want to do this flower in layers. So I started off really dark, and the great thing about doing it this way is you can always lift out if you think it's too much. So I'm starting off with really heavy pigment, and then I'm just blending out with some water into these lighter shades as the petal goes out. I wanted it to look like this petal had a curve in it, so I wanted that lighter part. Oh, while I'm thinking about it, I meant to tell everybody, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I am like really overwhelmed by the response that I got from my last video of the blue flowers. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel. And thank you for all the views that I got on that video. I had no idea that that one would be so popular, but thank you so much. I can't believe I'm almost at 750 subscribers. It is just crazy. But thank you so much. I am so humbled and so grateful for all of you. And as a thank you, if you have any video ideas of anything you would like to see me paint, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. I would really love to get your feedback on what you would like to see. And if you're not subscribed to my channel and because there's something missing, please leave me a comment. I really love to read you guys' comments. You really brighten my day, and you keep me going, honestly. Because having a YouTube channel is pretty daunting at times, and you feel this push constantly to make content, and then it kind of takes the fun out of it. So I really appreciate all of your comments, and so many of you are just so wonderful and just so lovely in your comments. So thank you so much. So this painting was a little bit different this time. Usually, if you watched any of my other videos, I usually do the background first. And on this painting, I actually painted this flower, and then I don't know why, but it just seemed so bare to me. So I ended up adding in a background at the end. So that's why this one is a little bit different. I don't know about you guys, but I really love Stargazer lilies. I think they are so beautiful. Now, mind you, if you bring them into your house, they will really put off some smell. They're quite pungent. But I have found that if you remove the stamens, the pollinators, that it kind of cuts down on the smell. So if you guys try that, let me know how it works for you. I've done it in the past, but I've literally had lilies run me out of my house because they were so potent. So this again is that quinacridone permanent rose, and just in varying shades. I think I did add in some bright clear violet in some areas to make this more of a kind of a purpley burgundy color. And then in the bottom of the petals, when I wanted to make them deeper, I believe I added in some Payne's Gray. I love Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray is like one of my favorite colors. It does so well with shadows, and it's just a very versatile color. So if you're having trouble with shadows, try some Payne's Gray. It works wonders. And in this palette, I've added in, you can see up there by the green, I have that one little, what do you call it? The little, I don't know what you put the paint in. Anyway, I can't think right now. I added in some extra Payne's Gray, and it was a professional grade Winsor and Newton, because I really love that shade. This is where I'm adding in the Payne's Gray down at the bottom of these petals to make them look, give it more contrast. When you're doing a painting like this, you'll sometimes, like for me, I would be scared to add in those darker colors, but then once I would step back from the painting, I would realize that those contrasting colors are really important. They just kind of make everything pop. So now I'm just mixing up a really, really super saturated mixture of that quinacridone rose and that bright clear violet. There might be some Payne's Gray in there. And I'm adding in these, I don't even know what these are called in the flower. There's these dots. Just randomly laying these in. Darkening up the edges of those stamens and these stems. And now that that's done, adding in a few extra dark places on these stems and finishing up this last petal down here. This is the burnt umber that I'm using here to kind of add in a little bit more detail down at the bottom of this flower, and adding in a little bit more shadow on that bottom side. So now that that's done, I'm using one of my favorite secret weapons, I guess you could call it. I don't know what you'd call it. This is Dr. P.H. Martin's. It is bleed proof white. It is an acrylic white paint. And for me, it works really well with watercolor. I can use this to blend with water and use it to do my highlights. I love using P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. You'll see it many times in a lot of my videos, and I hope you guys use it too. It's really inexpensive, and this little jar that I've had, it's so small. I think it's like maybe 1 or maybe 2 ounces. I've had it for almost a year now, and I haven't even put a dent in it. So now that that's done, I had decided that I wanted to have this flower have a background, so I'm just putting down some water. Just some clean, clear water and all around in the background of this painting, and then I'm going to add in some, I think it was a varying shade that I mixed up of bright clear violet, some maybe Viridian. Yeah, it was Viridian, and some of that, a little bit maybe of that Quin Rose. And I wanted this paint to kind of bleed off into the background, like up at the top where you can see where it just kind of blossoms out. I just wanted it to just flow out into that clean water. And here I've added in some of that Payne's Gray into this mix, and just allowing this paint to flow into this water. over here I didn't have enough water, so I'm kind of having to lift out. I don't know, let me know. Did you like the flower before the background or after the background? I don't know, I'm kind of torn. So that's going to about do it for this painting. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you give this one a try. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day, everyone.